Broadcasting the sparks that ignite vocational rehabilitation through the inspiring stories of people with disabilities who have gone to work,
working in a field that I understand,
as well as the professionals who have helped them.
A job and a career. You got to look at how life-changing this is.
And the businesses who have filled their talent pipelines with workers that happen to have disabilities.
To help expand registered apprenticeship.
These are their stories.
Because there's such a great story to tell about people with disabilities.
Now, here are the hosts of the VR Workforce Studio, Rick Sizemore and Betsy Civilette.
April is Autism Acceptance Month, and today we're honored to share a story that reflects not just awareness, but opportunity, growth, and meaningful employment. Today's episode takes us down to Lynchburg, Virginia, where we meet a remarkable young professional whose journey reflects the very heart of vocational rehabilitation.
Emily Raine is now an administrative office specialist with the Virginia Department for Aging and Rehabilitative Services, or DARS, following a successful internship in a determined path toward employment.
And joining Emily is her vocational rehabilitation counselor, Nathan Roberts, well known across Central Virginia and the entire state for helping individuals with disabilities connect to careers and long-term success.
Well, Emily, Nathan, welcome to the VR Workforce Studio. We are so glad you're here.
Thanks so much. This is exciting.
Thank you.
Delighted to have you. Emily, I first saw your face over a year ago on a video resume, and it struck me. I still remember you said you wanted to support a business in an administrative role, and now you're doing that. How does it feel, and what do you have to say about your job at DARS?
I will say that I am glad that I am able to use all of the skills that I've learned during my internship into an administrative role, because initially when I started my internship, I wanted office experience, but now that I have this experience and now I am doing essentially a lot of the same duties that I did with my internship. I feel like, all of the waiting and everything I went through during my internship was worth it.
That's just amazing. We're celebrating autism awareness, and we couldn't think of a better person to have on our show to help us do that than you, Emily.
And if you don't mind sharing with us a little bit about living with autism, what are some of the strengths, it's given you, especially in your work and daily life?
I think the most notable trait having autism has given me is my attention to detail. I will look through forms and I will nitpick through almost every single detail.
That's awesome.
Well, I can relate. I do the same, really.
Well, some people often refer to that as a superpower. It could be called a disability, or it can certainly be called a superpower. Along with that, though, there have to be some challenges. What have you had to negotiate and navigate, and how have you learned to work through being on the job and on being on the spectrum?
My biggest challenge that I've pretty much had all my life is socializing with people. One of the big hurdles that I had to overcome during my internship and through getting this position is learning to talk with people over the phone. Before that, I was always very scared, almost always refusing to talk to anyone over the phone, just preferring text and email, because I was afraid of, what if I say something wrong? What if my tone accidentally conveys something that I didn't mean to say? Or they think the person thinks I'm rude. And to be honest,
and now you're on a podcast.
So you've come a
And
long
you
way.
sound great.
Emily.
You sound great.
oh, thank you.
Well, so Emily, walk us through your journey, though, with DARS. You were starting to say how, some of the challenges, but what services or supports made the biggest difference for you?
I think definitely the internship was the biggest support that DARS had ever given me since I had zero office experience and I was wanting to try some office experience for a job. When I got out
Hmm.
of college, I was just kind of existing. I didn't really know what I was going to do. And with DARS giving me the chance for an internship, it, I guess, brought some meaning back into my life and what I
Mm.
what I do.
That's the value of putting yourself out there. I want to know more about this internship, but I also don't want to pass by the fact that you graduated from college with honors. Tell us where you graduated from and about that notoriety you have in terms of finishing college and how you graduated.
So I graduated from Sweetbriar College. They call it summa cum laude.
Yeah,
Um, to be honest,
that's an honor.
yeah.
That's a
That
real
is an
honor.
honor.
I mean, for
Sometimes,
those who may not be familiar with it, what does that designate?
basically, I think you're at like the top of your class as far as grade
I think that's
wise.
right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, congratulations. That's absolutely fantastic. And so this internship after college, you graduated with honors, and now you're in this internship. You already mentioned that it taught you a lot of office skills, but what did it teach you about yourself? Hmm.
It taught me that I am a relatively quick learner
Hmm.
and that maybe I am in fact stronger than I thought I was. I can work through problems even and it's okay to make mistakes.
Man,
It sure is.
valuable.
I wouldn't be here still if they graded
Bessie
me
and
for
I are
my
living
mistakes.
proof.
Yeah. Um, but so tell us when you were working in your internship, there wasn't an immediate job opening. So you continued just to volunteer, right? On your own time.
Yeah.
What motivated you during that time to keep working?
I have to be honest, there are many points I actually wanted to give up and say, "No, what? I'm done with this. I'm not going anywhere." But it was because of the support of Nathan, um, my manager Christian, my
Hmm.
parents, and my coworkers, and many other people who told me to not give up, that I should keep going in my internship. Because even if I didn't land a job at JARS, I would at least have that experience.
Hmm.
And that
It's
experience could
wonderful.
transfer to another job.
Right.
It's fantastic. Well, Nathan kind of gave us a little insight into your case. He said that you developed time management, communication, you learned about data systems. How did those skills prepare you for the job you're in now? The ones you learned during the internship?
They taught me how to prioritize and figure out maybe what tasks I should do first, maybe which ones are a little bit of lower priority. Um, I also learned of how Docfinity works, like our database. I learned about Aware and sorry, I gotta think about this for a moment.
That's a great list, man. It's an impressive skill set.
Right. Well, while you're thinking about it, what's a typical day look like for you? Walk us through, what your daily tasks are.
So, a lot of my daily tasks consist of being on standby in case the phone rings or a client or a guest comes through the door. I also file a lot of paperwork and which helps the counselors a lot, lets them focus on their clients. Let's see. I also send out
And digital stuff? I'm assuming there's not as much paperwork. So, like, are you good on the computer
I
with
can do
organizing?
I can organize things on the computer and I can organize physical papers.
What you mentioned your supervisors and coworkers being a support to you, but how do you feel now that you've got a full-time job? How, everybody supports you in a way that helps you succeed?
I feel more confident in myself. I don't look upon myself as a failure because for the longest time, I really didn't see much of a point in continuing on with my internship. I felt like I was just not contributing anything to society. But getting this full-time job told me that all the work that I went through wasn't for nothing. That, in fact, I am someone who can contribute to DARS and to society as a whole.
Well, it sounds like you're doing that in a significant and amazing way. That's wonderful. There are many people who share this experience of being on the autism spectrum. What advice would you give to someone with autism who may be considering vocational rehabilitation as a way to get into the workforce?
I would say just go for it. The counsel, yeah, just go for it. Your counselors are there to help you. They don't want to drag you down or overwhelm you. They genuinely want what's best for you and want to keep your interests at heart. And along those lines, I would say to just be yourself because trying to masquerade, trying to be like everyone else is not going to work out for you in the end.
Yeah, just
And
just be yourself, right?
yeah, and that's a very hard lesson that I've had to learn throughout my life.
Well, I'm amazed just at your self-awareness for someone your generation, because most people, even my age, don't have that. So it is you've really, come so far, I can tell, just by talking to you. So what would you say to a business that may be thinking about hiring someone with autism but isn't quite sure what to expect?
I think they should get to know the individual first and their strengths and weaknesses. And based on that, figure out maybe if there's a way they can incorporate them into their business. Because you never know, that person might have some great ideas, but they just may not be the best communicator, or maybe sometimes they struggle with some equipment. You just have to be
Yeah.
open-minded and flexible.
Yeah. Wow. Well, I
Great.
know Betsy's wants to talk with Nathan in just a minute, but if you would tell us, what's it like working with this guy? We've known him for a long time. What's it like working with him? And in that vein, what do you wish more people understood about autism in the workplace? Because I'm sure Nathan has helped you figure that out.
So Nathan is definitely my cheerleader. He, honestly, we have kind of two different personalities. He's the very outgoing, very person oriented, and I'm very much the technical side, more introverted. And sometimes, while I feel that does clash sometimes in our work styles, I think overall we get along because our strengths complement each other, and together we can help clients get jobs.
Well, so Nathan, let's hear from you. Walk us through the work that you did with Emily in VR and how did you support her along this journey?
Sure. First of all, thanks for having us. And Emily, you are a rock star. And one of the superpowers that you have, girl, is that you ask for help. If you don't ask for help, you will not be able to get help. And so that is a superpower that you have. And I still every day call her a rock star. She has been the one that has helped me carry my caseload the last 2 years during the internship. She joined DARS in 2016. So like 10 years ago, and has really put her vision forward and pushed through. We've been able to help her with so many different things that we offer here in our office, vocational evaluation, job readiness class. We've connected her with Beth Sullivan, who is our business developer manager. She's worked with Pathways through some of the tools that they have and utilize. When she came in to me in 2021, though, she met with me and her mom, which her mom is an amazing support and was at every meeting with Emily. But when Emily came in, she said, I really want to do some form of advocacy work. Like I'm passionate about helping people in the minority and I want to be an advocate for them. I'll finish that story in just a second, but I really believed that Emily possessed something that could really make a huge impact where the employer couldn't open the doors without her being on staff. And so she went through several different applications. I went to several different interviews with her all along the way. But in the back, she didn't know, but I'm talking to Christian. Christian, what can we do to get her on our team?
Don't lose this one.
We need her. And he was working behind the scenes with a lot of the leadership with Richmond. He found a way to get her paid during some of her internship. We partnered with Virginia Career Works through their program. And so some of her internships, she was able to get paid. She kept fighting the good fight. And then someone retired in our office and a new position opened. She had to go through the process, just like any other person being hired. And I was told that she was the top interviewee, which is why exactly she was offered the job. So it's such a thrill to see her on the staff to this day.
Nathan, what would you say to a business about the value of hiring individuals with autism and what they bring to the team?
Yeah, definitely. You're going to get loyalty. You're going to see somebody who shows up all the time, very dedicated, who wants the job, who is really intentional on using their skill sets, and is a really quick learner. Attention to detail is definitely something that Emily brings to the table. Individuals with autism are very connected into that. Of course, this is anybody with a disability. You find their strengths and their rock stars, right? So I would just say to the employer, give a chance, give an opportunity. But at the end of the day, the person needs to have the right skill set and aptitude for that business and that and place of employment.
Well, how important is Emily's current role now, not just for her, but for the mission of DARS itself?
Yeah, let's be clear. When Emily came on as an intern, I had a caseload of around 70. Now that Emily supports me so well, my caseload is nearly 200 clients. I'm able to serve more clients because she and I work so closely together. She helps me with all of the things that I'm just not great at. And at the end of the day, our goal is to set up individuals with disabilities towards independence, right? And a better way of life. And she is doing that. And I remind her all the time that you are why people are able to get jobs. Like we are in this together, a great, great team. And she does that for the other counselors in the office as well.
So, Emily, looking down the road, what are your goals?
So I generally tend to focus on the present, but if I am thinking about things I want to do in the near future, I definitely want to get better at driving, especially in the city, and eventually find a place of my own to live.
She has come a long way, if I can add. For her internship, her parents were bringing her. She is now driving and has a car of her own and comes to work every day and is driving to Richmond and all of these different places. So she's really doing amazing with that.
Well, sounds like, you truly have become more independent, and have the confidence. It's just such a wonderful story, that to hear. And Nathan, again, reflecting on her journey, what does a continued success look like?
Yeah, I think as long as she continues to take care of herself first, like take days off of work, you need some rest. That's why our agency gives time
Right.
off, right?
Yeah.
Also, continue to ask for help. Continue to say, hey, I need to take some time to go and see my counselor for a moment, just for some encouragement or some, um, yeah, just feedback on what she can do to continue to manage herself and her role. She's got a really heavy load here. But of course, we
Right.
do a lot of get-togethers in our office, and Emily helps plan some of those and brings food to contribute and stuff. So
I
as
saw
long
some
as
great
You gotta
we
have
pictures.
fun.
work on that work-life balance, gotta have the
Right.
6-7 in our life, right?
That is
6.
Oh
so
gosh.
that is so
No,
awesome.
no.
Well, Emily, we have like to finish up with a music video, and I'm going to warn you, you're the focus of this video, and
Rock
Oh.
star.
you are
Okay.
that rock star. The video is actually on Nate's phone, so he's gonna spin that up. We're going to continue recording, but we'd like for you to watch this video, and then we'll get some reactions and close out here in just a couple minutes. Right now,
Okay.
from waiting to working.
She was counting days on calendars, circling each little maybe in blue, filling out forms at the kitchen table, saying one of these doors is for you. Mom packed snacks for another interview. Bus ride, raindrops on the glass, name tag folded in her pocket, heart beating louder than the traffic pass. From waiting to working, from hoping to know, she's standing here, dreaming her hands, this is her own. From waiting to working, look how she's grown. From hoping to know, now the whole room knows she's home. First day, badge on a lanyard, coffee cup warm in her two hands, learning the steps like a favorite song, desk by the window, her own plans. She remembers every closed door behind her, all the time she practiced alone. Now they call her name in the morning, and good job follows her home. From waiting to working, from hoping to know, she's standing here, dreaming her hands, this is her own. From waiting to working, look how she's grown. From hoping to know, now the whole room knows she's home. She's more than a story, more than a word, more than a label they once overheard. Autism shining like colors in glass, different and brilliant as sunlight that lasts. So, from waiting to working, from hoping to know, she's standing here, dreaming her hands, this is her own. From waiting to working, look how she's grown. From hoping to know, now the whole room knows she's home.
We wanted to share that with you to celebrate autism acceptance. It's been such a delight to have you on the podcast. Nate, I can only see Emily in the camera, but I believe you're there. Thank you for the work you do, the amazing work you do to help people with disabilities find their way into the workforce. It's been a great pleasure having you both on the podcast. Betsy?
Yes, thank you so much for your time and sharing. Like I said, I love that line that you're more than a story. You're an inspiration for a lot of people, that listening too. And to me, just your self-awareness is just amazing. So again, thank you for being here.
Thank you for having me. I really appreciate it.
You all couldn't have chosen a better person to highlight this month and this awareness.
Definitely.
Thank you.
VR workforce student.